Rick Shaw here. Board members, is it Kaylee Devlin? Is that right? Kelly Devlin. Nicole Sussman. Deborah Keith.
Here.
And Nora Kodak.
Here.
All 7 members present.
Okay, perfect. Can we get approval of the agenda from the September 1st, 2020 meeting? Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve
It was September 1st.
September 1st meeting. Second.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Okay, motion was made by George and seconded by Deb to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so it passed 7-2.
Got it? Okay.
Okay, if we could, just because we're all pretty much new to each other, if we could just do a brief, I know you did like just a quick couple sentences, like your name and just maybe where you live, that would be great, so we know a little bit about you. Let's start with you, Deb.
Okay, Deb Keith, lived here for 16 years, now happily retired. Doing Bellar Beach before.
I'm Nora Kodak, and I have lived here since March. I live at 106 2nd Street, and I lived here for, 10 years, about 15 years ago.
I'm Rick Shaw. I live on 13th Street, 105 13th Street. I've lived in Bellar Beach for 10 years, and have been on, this is my 2nd year on the Parks and Rec Board, and I'm currently the secretary.
I'm George Ortell. Lived here for about 10 years. Been on the Parks and Rec Board for 6 years. That's a guess. And yeah, really sorry about it. I guess I'm assistant to the chair of the Parks and Rec Board.
The vice chair.
Vice chair.
Vice chair.
All right, I'm Tammy Lavenda, I'm the chairman, and I moved here to Bellar Beach 3 years ago, and yeah, just happy to be here. I wanted to volunteer since I moved here, so I'm happy to
Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm Tammy's neighbor. I've lived here 4 years, small business owner, and first-time volunteer with the city, and very happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm Nicole Sussman. I live on Harbor Drive, and I've been here a little bit over a year.
I'm Kyle Riefler. I'm the Community Services Administrator for the City of Bellar Beach, and I've been working for Bellar Beach about 2.5 years.
I'm Glenn Reeves. I'm the city manager and lived in Bellar Beach 22 years. I've been the city manager about 3 years.
22 years.
Okay, so a couple things on our agenda that we need to go over today. I'm going to try to end this by 5:30, so if you have somewhere to be, then feel free to, like, we'll try to wrap it up by then so no one has to walk out early. She made copies of like my notes that I made for myself, so a lot of it might be chicken scratch to you, but it was just like my thoughts on our topics of discussion. So obviously anything can be crossed out. We're going to add, we're just kind of brainstorming since we're starting from scratch. We're going to, like, one of the things is what Rick, discussed last time about doing the surveys. So I'm just going to give you these since she made copies of them.
While you're passing those out, if I could remind you, we need to approve the ink. Which is certainly easy enough.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'd like to make a motion to approve today's agenda. Everyone in favor? Aye.
So, I'm sorry, who made the motion? Did you?
Debbie
Debbie?
made the motion, Laura made the second.
Okay.
Okay, so approval of the agenda. Okay, so the first thing, and my understanding is but this topic came up on Monday at the meeting in regards to the Christmas tree lighting and the holiday social. So I'm not sure if that has already been decided, if we even need to discuss anything, or if it's still kind of an open.
Well, I brought it up that we were going to discuss it, and some of the council members were fine with it. There were a couple that weren't. So, at this point, it's kind of and they weren't, at the meeting, a couple of the council members voiced concerns about having. You were there, so you heard this.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Lynn.
I know I am too.
I'm sorry. Because Eric is right
Yeah,
behind
a
me.
couple of the council members voiced some concern about having the event
Right.
at the Monday meeting. So, part of it, I guess, is COVID, the concern there. So, if we don't have it, it's kind of.
We're just gonna light the tree and move on.
Well,
Well, first of all, just a little bit of the background. There are, I think, 6 events, which we trimmed down from 10, that were originally approved by the city council, 6-1.
Okay.
Those were all put on hold with COVID. So those are still out there, so we probably need to address those if we want to scratch those and start over. We would have to get permission, really, I guess permission, approval, is a better word probably, the city council to cancel those events because they're still scheduled. And then, of course, moving forward, if we want to do anything like a Christmas tree lighting, then that's going to have to be presented to city council. And what Lynn was saying, there was some concern about I'm trying to remember if the garage sale's on or off.
garage sale, we're not advertising. You can have one this Saturday,
Okay.
but we're not advertising.
Okay, so that's, I guess, on the down low. The same date, same event, but not officially sanctioned by the city.
Are you talking about like the car show and?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
The
you're
car
talking about the
show,
ones that
the
were.
fall festival,
All of those events are passed, so they're not, it's past their date. So you're really starting fresh.
So they're
Well,
not.
but I think that, however, we are starting fresh, but I think that's something that needs to be addressed to the city council. Because they weren't canceled, they were postponed.
Okay.
And I think that the city council needs to know that as a board, we're recommending that all of those events be canceled. And then if we're going to put forward a holiday social, then whatever we agree to or whatever we think we want to do for that, we'd have to present to the city council for their approval.
Right, so as it came up last night, and we're kind of like at the last minute, and there isn't
Right.
really even another meeting before we would do
Right.
it, like, we're pretty much gonna scrap that, it sounds like, and just, the tree will go up, it will be lit, and there will be no event. Does that sound pretty much? Just because it is so like, I mean, it's not that it can't be done because it wouldn't be a big deal, but it just sounds like there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and with COVID, and with the numbers kind of switching, I can kind of see it being like lukewarm attended just because even if it's outside, if there's just a large group of people, it might make people uncomfortable. So, I guess, I can make a motion to just kind of scratch it and like, maybe we can discuss it for next year?
Well, I think if someone wants to make a motion, I think it should be that the Parks and Rec Board is recommending the city council cancel all postponed but previously approved events for the city of Bellar Beach through 2020.
Would you like to make
Or
a
through,
motion?
yeah, well, okay, all right, I'll make the motion that Parks and Rec Board makes a motion that all previously approved but postponed city events, previously approved but postponed city events to be canceled. That's,
Do I have a second? Because you know what they are more than everyone else here.
I was trying to think. I think it's a good idea. we're talking about less than a month away.
Well, he's talking about everything, like Christmas, we're gonna scratch. He's talking about all the things that were
Right.
on last year, you guys worked on,
Right.
that got canceled because of COVID. Like,
Remember,
they're
George,
postponed.
the fashion show and the car show and
Yeah, all
the
those
fall
things.
festival, all those,
I thought it was.
no, they were postponed.
So he's making a motion
So
to
you're
cancel.
making.
Motion, and we recommended to the council that they be canceled. Because really, we're on the hook, to a certain extent, to the city council, the way I see it, to do those, because
Reschedule, yeah.
we agreed to do them.
Yeah.
All right, we didn't say, okay, we're not doing them, we just said they're gonna be postponed due to COVID. I mean, it might be some semantics there, I don't know, but I would wanna keep it on the up and up.
I think it's a little semantics because realistically, those events were approved for 2020. 2020 is over. So moving forward, you create your own schedule for next year and you take it to the council. But we can take
Yeah.
that to the council in December. It's kind of a moot point. It's after the fact.
Well, they're not asking us to postpone and reschedule before the end of December 31st. So we're saying not this year.
Yeah. So, whatever you want, we can take to the council.
I think we should have something in there. I understand what you're saying, Lynn, but I think we should officially let the city council know that we've canceled.
And it's-
I'm fine with
I
that.
definitely do too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So,
Second.
Second.
second, George.
No, Deborah's second.
Okay, second, Ms. Keith.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so motion passed. So then we have a clean slate to address these other events.
Okay, and then as far as the holiday social with the Christmas tree lighting, do I have a motion that we just kind of also scratch that due to shortness of time and COVID and all of that?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Someone make a motion as well.
I agree, or I second. I'm not sure the terminology, forgive me. My first meeting.
So the motion is to cancel the holiday social and Christmas tree lighting? Is
That we
correct?
never even worked on. I guess we're just like
Right.
talking about not having one. It was kind of like
Right.
up for discussion, but just based on the criteria, I think we're kind of under the gun and it might get kicked anyway, so we're just gonna kind of X that off the agenda, if that's okay.
You're gonna make a motion or?
You can make a motion to take the Christmas tree social off the agenda.
I make a motion to take it off, sure.
Do I
Okay.
have a second?
Okay.
Second.
Second. Thank you, I'm learning.
All in
I
favor?
second.
Aye. Okay.
And,
So it passed 7-0 to take the Christmas tree social off. Okay, so.
I'm sorry, you're Nicole, right?
No.
You, Kelly, okay, got it.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda, number 4, is discussion and assignments of the Bellar Beach 13 park surveys. We touched upon this. Rick thought it would be a great idea, and I agreed with him that like a lot of us, even if we've been here a long time, we didn't even know there were 13 parks. So we talked about maybe doing surveys, taking ones that you're not familiar with, and just basically, general conditions of the park, is it good or bad? What I passed out to you is just, I literally took it off the website, and it was helpful to me because it's already got the list of the addresses, and then it has like the amenities, like what they offer, so you kind of know what you're looking for. Like if it says it's got a bench, but the bench isn't there when you go look, then, because I know Lynn's like, hey, the bench blew off into the water and we went on your dock and fished it out, like, just stuff like that. So this gives like a good little snapshot of like the address, the amenities. So I guess, there's, I don't know, if I counted 13 or 14, there's 7 of us, we can divvy them out. It would be great if we could, like I said, take parks that you're not familiar with and you don't see all the time. But what we need to come up with is, and it doesn't have to be a real big deal, but just like the survey, so we're all looking for the same things. And obviously you can add notes, but like general conditions of the park, good and bad, the features and benefits are pretty much already listed on this, on our website. Potential improvements, immediate concerns like potential danger, like, you know, we were walking in the park on 2nd Street and I called Kyle because there was a hole that I would have fallen into up to my knee, or it was a loose, like, you know, utility lid or something, whatever the case may be. Like if you're there and you notice something, and maybe pictures of it on your phone that like we share. But I would love to have this survey just kind of done today and have everybody take their 2 parks or whatever the case may be, so we can kind of do it in the next month if that gives everybody enough time. It should take 10 minutes. And so we can discuss it at our next meeting, if everybody's good with that. So is there any like thoughts or discussion, or did anything else pop into your mind about what would be maybe something else good to look for? Or something else that we should have on our survey?
Let's see if we can agree on certain things we want to look for.
Sure.
So, like you said, consistent.
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, he just said that we should have a list, like, so I have survey questions like on page 2, but like we can like add to this, we can take off of this, and so we all have the same 4 or 5 things that we're looking for. So, general condition of the park, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, like great, whatever. Potential improvements that you think would be great, like, you know, just one that would come to my mind. Like, I would love, like, I know there's garbage cans. I would love if there was recycle. Just that's, you know, whatever. Like, first thing, top of mind. Immediate concerns or potential danger, like the railings loose on the pier, or, you know, just something that someone may see every day and just not call because they don't think to call. So that's what I mean by that. And then pictures if there is such an instance. So that's, George, what we're just, I'm asking if anyone has like additional thoughts or suggestions or things they'd like to.
How often do you want these parks surveyed?
Well, we're just gonna do it the one time.
Okay.
And then see what we come up with. I mean, if everybody comes back with, oh my God, all 14 of them or 13 of them look great, then, you know, it's, yeah, but if
Okay.
like, you know, there's 3 of them that need something, then that would be something that we would work on next.
Okay.
And then we would survey them again to make sure that it works,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
One thing, living next to one of the parks, I think the maintenance is amazing. They go above and beyond. So, all the parks that I go to, and I don't go across the bridge, the one that I go to,
Yeah, I go to my 2, and that's it. Like, I go to the one right, you know, the South Street one, and I go to 2nd Street one because I have an English bulldog and she can't walk far. So, like, that's as far as we get is right to the 2nd Street park. I'm blaming it on the dog. So we never really get to, you know, I never really get hurt at any of the other parks where I'm kind of hanging out in them. But, so, yeah, they do, and they do a good job. But, like, does anybody have any, like, anything they want to add to these little survey questions, or is that good and we'll just, is that good? Phil?
Do you mind if I add in a little?
No.
I think it would help all of you to take advantage of Lynn and the fact that he knows what goes on annually, where are we trimming. You might see things that he already knows we do at the park. And then very similar to what you had just said, the crews that take care of the park, they're awesome.
Yeah,
and I would encourage every one of you to stop by City Hall or ask Lynn, when can I meet them? Or you see the truck going around, show them your parks, talk to them about it. I'll guarantee you they know everything that you might have a question about. So that would be my addition to what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
wholeheartedly agree. And I see them help.
No, it's a great idea. I'm on board with that. Okay. So is everybody good with the survey questions the way they are? So they're basically just 4 of them. And I'll have Patty send those out. So is, in regards to divvying up the parks, like, it doesn't have to be real formal. If anybody just wants to say, hey, I like this one or that one, it doesn't matter to me. Or if you just want me to assign them, I can do that too, or however you guys want to.
Yeah, I can just go through, just sign them, I'll start them so I can reflect them in the minutes.
Okay. All right, so. Deb, do you want to take 25th Street and 20th? Okay.
Okay.
So Deb Keith is 20th and 25th.
Okay.
Nora, do you want to take 16th? And Hibiscus Park?
This is,
George, do you want to take Crossman Park?
Sure. Second one right before.
You can say no.
That's fine.
I'm not. Let's see. How about Crossman and City Hall grounds? You want those two? I'll take. I'll take Morgan Park. And 7th Street. Rick, do you want 2nd Street and South Park?
sure. Yep.
And then ladies, it looks like they left you with the beaches. So, Kelly, you want 6th Street and 12th Street? Nicole, you can have 19th Street. And then, so the way this kind of laid out, like, is there Bayside Park and Belle Isle Park left? Okay. Nicole, do you want Bayside Park?
Sure. I can try them too.
And you'll take Belle Isle? Okay. thank you.
Well, right?
Yeah. And then Kelly will take Belle Isle too. All right.
Kelly, you have Belle Isle on 16th, correct?
6th, 12th, and Belle Isle.
And the park board, which isn't in this list, is responsible for the bonus also.
I'm sorry?
The marina?
The marina.
Is that,
Yeah. The other end of the city.
I'll take the marina. Okay. So. This is the part that always trips me up. So do we need to make a motion to pass all of this? Are we just good?
I don't think we need a motion.
So we're good? Okay, so everybody has their assignments?
Yep.
And then Patty will send out the questions, and then she will send you exactly what your parks are again, so, all right?
I just want to get something to it before we go
Just the questions, and then
Sure.
it's just a reiteration of which ones you have. Okay, perfect. And then, so this is something, the next item on our agenda, number 5, isn't really something that like, it's kind of like, I'm just gonna throw it out there and we're just gonna think about it and bring it back up at the next meeting. So it's kind of like, discussion of Bellar Beach 2021 programs and projects. That's kind of a big statement, but like, two kind of sections to this, and like I would love all the feedback that like anyone would want to throw out. Like I said, we can think about it and then just bring it back to the next meeting. But like when you look around Bellar Beach, like you see, and I know Lynn's talked about like a gazebo, or you know, we have artwork and we have benches that say "Welcome to Bellar Beach" and stuff like that. So I'm not sure, like, if those were donated, if the city paid for them, if they were
Some were donated,
scholarships
like, all of these out here were donated by the garden club.
by the garden club.
Yeah, all,
Do we have
everything out
garden
here. The one at, like, the one that's at the corner there across from the city did that.
Okay.
The benches in all the parks, for the most part, are stuff the city's purchased.
Okay.
And there are some monuments in various parks, recognizing something. As an example, maybe they donated the land at the time or things of that. But for the most part, the donations have come from the garden club.
Okay, so my thought for this, and like it could be something that's smushed in about 2 seconds, but like tax deductible gifts to the city, or like people that may have lived here for 20 years, or like their their husband was born and grew up here and he passed, or something like that. So tax deductible gifts to the city by members of the community. With donated by. So like say, for example, if my husband and I want to donate a recycle bin to the South Street Park, and it might have like, whatever, or Deb's husband, and like they want to donate, and it says, recycle bin donated by Jeffrey and Deb Keith, Bellar Beach 2021 or something like that. And then on our website, it would literally have like, here's members of the community, and here's what they donated, and like a little blurb, they've lived here for 16 years, blah, blah, blah. Because people are always looking for, places to, tax deductible where, it's, I don't know, you could want to do it. It's a volunteer thing. It's no one has to do it if they don't want to. But like, so some of the things that I was, just the stuff that we talked about, park benches, recycle bins, flower gardens, and then I see these beach rentals that Lynn, like, the bike racks, it could be anything. It doesn't matter. It could be something that they call and suggest. But it would be easier if like we had a list that already had the price, and you would say, if you want to donate a recycle bin, it costs X, and then, here's your thing for your accountant to write about taxes. And then we do like the plaque and all of that stuff. So like, I know some of our parks have dog poo bags or not.
No.
Yes, some of them do. No?
I feel like most or some.
Okay, yeah, just stuff like that. So, or it could be something from the marina, like if you had a boat there for 20 years. It doesn't really matter what it is. It was just a thought that I had, as opposed to trying to, like, get money for the city for things that are done. Maybe someone might want to do this, and that's all it is.
My business would love to sponsor a food bag stand. I'm a dog walker.
That's your business.
Yeah, so anyway, it's just a thought. Like I said, I want everyone to just kind of to think about it, and come back with, like, obviously it's nothing that's forced on anybody. It's just like a thing that they can do if they want. And then the other part of the programs for next year, like obviously we can revisit the ones that fell through. People really, really, really want to do them. It was a good idea. All the guys that have like their old cars that wanted to be in the car show, they come back and they go, oh, when are we doing that again? Like that can always be revisited. But like, my thought on it is like, I've heard over and over again that we have this beautiful community building, and it doesn't really get used a ton. And I know like before COVID there was yoga and stuff like that, but like even if we try to do try to get something on the calendar for like once a month. And some of the things that I came to my mind was like last year there was stand-up paddleboard classes, and my husband and I and our neighbors, the couple, we took them. We saw the sign, we signed up for it, and it was right up here. It was great. I know like there's been yoga for a while, but
She's coming back this month, November.
Perfect. Yeah, so just stuff like that. If we get more of that, like a paint and wine class, like an outdoor movie night, like a book club. I just joined a book club across because I didn't know where else to join a book club. And I was looking for one. So I don't know. Just maybe something like that. It could be anything, but just to try to get stuff on the calendar that has to do with parks and recreation for the people in our community. Like, like they have, my neighbor in Indian Rocks, like, I don't know, she probably lives 5 minutes away. She does every Thursday or something like from a couch to a 5K, like a running club for beginners. And she has like 15 people. So it could be anything, and it's like, it could totally flop or it could take off. But if we don't try it, and that's truly like a Parks and Rec thing, like it's something recreational that like we're bringing to the community. If they want to do it, great. If they don't, then, we scratch it off and try to find something else. But like, if we could get some things going and get more people kind of using this building and feeling like a part of it, I think that would be a really good thing right now. And a lot of it could be done, like, I know COVID is still kind of scary, but it could be done outside, or it could be done socially distanced. And obviously this is stuff that we can get on the calendar for next year. But these are all just things I would love for just everybody to think about it and maybe come back to the next meeting and say, I don't think this would work, but I think this would be great. Or, just all the suggestions that we can come up with. I think that we can come up with a solid, like maybe, like I said, we can start with one a month and see if it works. And we should, I don't know, when is our new sign going to be? Done.
Yeah, what happened to that?
It blew over.
You didn't get it? I
It
thought
flew
you
over.
took it.
I just saw the cleanup. I didn't take it. No, check my car.
No, we're doing design on it. We've got some designs we'll be taking to the concept to look at. Then it has to go out to bid.
Okay. And I know the communications team, they're looking for a way for us to like get like either email blasts or text messages out to people who sometimes don't read the sign, or if it doesn't get on the sign, so people can't say, oh, well, I heard about this after and I didn't know, I never realized it, or whatever. Just so it's like, at least they could know and know they didn't want to do it, as opposed to like, I didn't know. So that will help. Like if we can't get that going, then it's kind of pointless to do this, because if they only know about it if they walk in the front door, they won't know about it. Like, it has to be something where we're able to get it out to people, and not everybody clicks on the Bellar Beach website, probably as much as something. So, I don't know, can we have some discussion? Does anybody have any thoughts on it, like right now, or you just kind of looking?
How might we be able to use a new sign?
What?
How could we use a new sign that we're going to get advertising? I mean, is that something appropriate for?
Yeah.
I mean, our input needs to be.
Well, the sign design is up to the city council, what they want to put on it. There's some discussion about, some people think it should be digital or electronic. Other people think it should be what I call archaic sign slide-on letters, because that's been the biggest complaint. People can't read it, whereas you see maybe the lettering is, I'll just say it's in electronic and it's in red, then you'll see it better than you would than if you were scrolling. The other way is, the sign like we used to have where you had to put letters on, and, people constantly have told us over the years, you can't read that sign. So, so what we're looking at is doing a V shape where it shoots out, and the communications committee recommended a digital sign, and we're going to go out after the council decides what it's going to look like for a bid with the basic sign with the option to put digital on it, so we can reduce the cost.
Would that sign just have lettering on it, or could it have pictures or something?
Well, if it's digital, you could put lettering and some pictures. If it's the
I guess I'm
same
thinking
as the
about
previous one,
advertising.
all you can do is put lettering.
I'm pretty sure, didn't I see the stand-up paddleboard class on the sign?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it just said stand-up paddleboard class, see details inside or something, and then I
Yeah.
came in and took a picture of the phone number.
But
So,
I never could read that sign. I'm too
Well-
old, I guess.
that's what the complaint we get. People couldn't read it, and, you know, it's basically because
Yeah.
it's not that, how do you say it? It's not visually pleasing, you know? That letter sign type sign was probably designed, what, 50 years ago, and they just hung around. And this one was 10 or 11 years old, and things have changed in the last 10 or 11 years. So it's you know, the council will decide one way or the other what they're going to do.
Well, there's other ways to advertise activities. There's our Facebook site and our website, right? And then the signage. What about those different ways of getting the message out?
yeah, they're working on like the Facebook page, I guess, in like Bellar Beach Facebook.
That's
Do we have a Bellar Beach Facebook page? Okay.
No.
We don't respond to it. It's just,
So I don't think they put anything on that. Like,
Yeah.
you could put it on, like, but that's where I said, if you physically don't go in and click on it, you don't see that there's a paint and wine class. You literally have to go looking for it if you don't know about it. So that's why if the communications group got like, you know, an email address for everyone, they could just blast out like monthly events. And then they could just, you know, kind of skim through it. But like, the sign just said like, stand-up paddleboard class, see detail, or call for details or something. And then you just, I called here or I walked in. So there are different ways, but people have to kind of seek them out at this point. Like, it's not gonna like, you know, hit them in the face as they're driving.
Well, that's why if we could use this new sign and make sure it's appropriate for people to read it, see it, and have it, see the advertising. Everyone has to go past that.
Right.
I assume it's gonna be on front of the car.
well, we're getting ready, the city clerk, that's our project. We're, from the communications committee, we're gonna send a survey out to all the homes, to try to get people to sign up with an email.
Text
or-
alerts.
Or text, or, some, is it click and send or something it's called. So, we're in the process of sending that out and see what we get back. Unfortunately, the experience we've gotten over the years, and I'll just give you an example, we had a undergrounding project, 120 people, we did that to them. We got 10 emails back. That was all. You know, so the percentages are, over the years, I guess, were pretty low. So we're gonna try this one more time, and then people can give us a choice, okay? I wanna just look at the website. I don't want you to send me an email. I wanna look at the sign. I want a text alert, or it's called click send. So that survey should be going out in the next month or so. We're in the process of working with the printer to set up who to send it to, or, you know, all the addresses and stuff like that. So, once that data's back, then we hope we'll have a better, communication segment, because the current list we have, over 50% of it's not even residents of Bellar Beach. It's only 400 families. So we're trying to clean that up. We do we do city news every other month, and I don't know if any of you get that. If you're on the constant contact email list, you get it. If you're not, you don't get it. And, well, we post it on the website.
Lynn, is it okay, like, if we put it on next door neighbor until the sign is up? Like, say if we wanted to do something in January, is that appropriate?
If the city's not going to do it, but
No, like,
you know, you as a resident wanted to say, oh, the city's having this, that's up to you.
okay.
The
And
city's-
then there's always word of mouth. I mean, like,
Yeah.
So it's not like we need 400 people to do a paint and wine class. We need 15 or 20. You know what I mean? So if we all brought 3 friends to get the first one going, and then all those people told somebody else, then they would maybe do it for the next time. Or like, you know, it's like if you know so-and-so likes to run or is starting to run, and they might be interested in like a running club or whatever, like we could do it like that until, because the sign's gonna take a couple of months. But I think we could probably.
Yeah, and we're still using the constant contact list till we get this other system. We hope positively that it works, that we get a few more residents, you know, contact information.
What are the constraints on using this facility for some of these activities as far as costs or things like
There's
that?
no constraint.
For residents.
No. Yeah.
So we could use this facility?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no restraints on that. No.
Would that be some holiday gifts, then it's a bigger problem?
As long as it's scheduled ahead of time.
But then there's a charge for right?
Well, if you wanted to come and rent it to have a social function, yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
The park and rec board
Yeah.
could set up something, yeah. But,
We wouldn't have to rent it, right? If
No.
we set up a city function, okay.
no,
Just schedule it.
Yeah, just schedule it.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, like, so we can table this for now. I just wanted to, you know, have a discussion about it and kind of get everyone to maybe think about it and jot down a few notes, like things that you might think would be interesting to, you know, just a group of people or whatever, and then we could maybe start working on a calendar for next year.
In the last city where I lived, we used to get it ahead of time, everything was mapped out for the entire year. And it was just all there. And we put it on a refrigerator, and it stayed there all year. And then the city would blast it out kind of on their Facebook page. Just a little reminder, you know, a week before, if there was going to be a city, any type of event, any get together, police, cookout, you know, just anything that was there. But it was mapped out for the entire year, so everyone could be familiar.
Maybe 2022.
Yeah, I never organized for it for sure.
Yeah, but that's great that they
Is the
were.
Bellar Beach still
It's still going around.
going around? That's
Ask
in
the Bellar
Bellar
Beach.
Beach.
You get that in the mail.
Bellar B.
What? I used to look nice to the Bellar Beach. Still a newspaper.
I haven't had one for a while.
What's called the Tampa newspaper now.
Oh,
You still get it on
Tuesdays.
Thursdays. I think it's called Tampa newspaper.
It is.
It's not just the Bel Air Bee like it used to be for years and years.
I think social media is like, same when you sign up for your book club.
Yeah.
Or was it next door, right?
Next door.
Someone in Harbor Bluffs.
Yes.
Same exact.
Or Facebook, yeah, or
Facebook,
Facebook
that's
page.
where everyone sees
Yep.
everything and people are looking, oh, what's to do this weekend, generally.
And in my networking group right now, we're talking about really pushing that social media aspect with the hashtags, hashtag Bellar Beach, hashtag activities, and that gets a big group of people to kind of put their attention on it. So there's definitely a technique to really promoting through social media.
And Indian Rocks Beach, I mean, how many of us are on it?
Yeah.
You know, so.
I know more about what's going on.
On Indian Rocks Beach.
IRB
right?
has
Because they have
20,000
social-
members on their IRB life page. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's
So we're small, and we don't like, there's, you know, it's fine, and we want to stay community-based, but it's a great idea. And then, like, it was cute, too, because, like, I saw on Next Door Neighbor that someone lost their tortoise. And then definitely someone lost their tortoise. Then I'm walking my dog in the park, and there's a lady hammering a sign to a, you know, like a telephone pole. She's like, I lost my tortoise. And I'm like, I knew that because I saw it on Next Door Neighbor. So
I agree, there's forums, and when Dorothy called me when it got out, we had it on different forums, and we had people everywhere, like within hours. So if we did that for any function here,
So we could get it out
Oh my
before the
Lord,
sign's
it's
done, I
easy.
guess is the
It's
only
easy.
point we're trying to.
And it becomes fun where we start doing this more and more often and kind of make our own.
Okay, well, that sounds good.
It's a really good way to share activities and events, for sure. It's nice, oh, that's going on today. It's a notification in my phone.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so like just, as I mentioned, if everyone can kind of think about it and take some notes for next time, and then we can try to start putting the calendar together for next year, for 2021. Okay, so the next item on our agenda, I think, is Lynn. He wanted to discuss the Bellar Beach Marina and then the beach blast rentals.
We had the discussion about the split rentals last month, and shortly after that discussion, someone mentioned to me, well, you know, what has the inflation rate been since the last time the marina prices were increased? So I went back and looked, and so I'm kind of torn between which way to go with it, but I wanted some feedback from you before I present to the city council. From the last time the marina rates were raised was 13 years ago. Okay, well, in 13 years, the inflation rate went up 26.7%. So that's $7 that they were paying per foot in 2006, per 7 when they were increased. Today is now $8.87. I know that seems like a major increase, $2 a foot, because that's how it's handled. But what I would suggest that if we went to the inflation rate, then that would be a simple way to do it on an annual basis, and we wouldn't have to deal with this ever again. But my suggestion at this point is kind of, okay, we raise it $1 next year, and then the following year, catch it up to the inflation rate, which would probably be another $1. And then at that point, just use the inflation rate. If it goes up 13 cents, then it goes up 13 cents. And leave it in a way that we don't have to have all these, what do you want to say? No one's paid any attention to, well, no, I can't say that. A couple of the council members have questioned that the rates aren't fair.
Like the new rates that you proposed went from
Right.
7 to 10. So it actually lower what we passed last.
Well, you wouldn't, if we just use the inflation rate, it would probably solve itself in 3 or 4 years to the point where we wanted to get to, because I think at that time we were talking $10 to $15 per foot based on if you're a property owner or not a property owner. But going forward, this may solve that in a similar way. And I know Bill did a extensive study and presented that to me and the council. And we never got any, how do I say, real concrete feedback from the council to say how they wanted to proceed with this or if they even did. But, you know, the realization is, how I'm looking at it at this point after someone brought up the inflation rate, I said, well, you got a point there because it probably should have been raised incrementally over the last 13 years. And they weren't. No one brought it up. It was first brought up a couple years ago, actually 3 years ago. It was first brought up, there was a discussion on it, and then they opted not to do anything. Then it was brought up last year again. There was a discussion on it, and then the council opted not to do anything. So it was brought up again this year, and the council kind of wants to resolve this, I think, so going forward. So I just wanted to get some feedback from you that I can take to them and say, hey, do you think the inflation rate is a better way, or do you think trying to immediately raise it to 10 and 15 for new people and raise, as was proposed, for Bill's proposal was to raise the dollar and then reduce the minimum footage. And I don't know how any of you feel about that minimum footage. It's 30 feet. Now,
Well, if I had a small boat, I'd feel about it, but, or if I had a small boat
but
there.
somebody that's been there paying that fee for, and I don't know, Bill, how long have you been in the marina?
I've personally been there 15 years. I find the discussion interesting. Yeah, I'd be open to anyone asking questions about the marina. I mean, just this year, I think we've been through a process where I didn't propose anything. I wanted to help council though, because I know that not everyone understands the marina, what's been there, what the city's paid for, what the actual renter pays for themselves. So it's an interesting discussion for me today. It's why I wanted to show up. I saw it on the list, and I'm not sure where to go with that, Lynn. 15 years I've been down there. Anyone can ask me any questions. But I think there's a little bit more to it to understand than just 3 minutes of discussion if you're making decisions that impact 20 people, 19 people. I thought something was approved last week, or the last meeting, you didn't want to move forward with that, right?
Well, someone came and talked to me right after that, threw something at me, and I thought, well, realistically, the inflation thing, then there wouldn't be to me, there wouldn't be 5 years from now, if it's always whatever the CPI is for that year, it goes up, then, or if it's a negative, it doesn't go anywhere. Then we wouldn't have to
Readdress it?
readdress this like we have over the last
Well,
3 years.
Here's the missing piece on this discussion, and I don't want to take too much time on it, but I'll offer as much time as anyone needs. And I almost feel like I should have a discussion with Lynn off the meeting, because I don't want to steer it in the direction he didn't want to go. But inflation is good. As a renter, though, you look at things competitively. And that is what's important that I don't think people understand. So that's what I brought to the table. Whether it's in any historical documentation you have, it's on record with the city. That you can look at what's current. And what is current is other marinas don't have minimums, and we're not as far off competitively as you might think. All those smaller boats have a disadvantage. Larger have a great advantage. People that use a lift, which is typically a smaller boat, pay a large amount of money on their own to buy a lift. When they leave, they take the lift with them. That in itself can be a marina slip rental rate alone. Even though a lot of us just pay cash for it and then we maintenance or we'll get a new one when we need to. It's a very large expense that doesn't exist at other marinas. So, and please excuse me, Lynn, you got to help me with where you want to go with that. But keep the minimum the same, but just increase the rates.
I'm at the point where I'm not so sure about maybe the minimum drops to 25, but the inflation rate just goes how it is. I don't want us doing, what I'm trying to do is alleviate this coming up every year and then nothing gets done with it. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with, I think council needs something to approve, period. It goes, and I've been down there 15 years and I have to go through this exercise. What happened in the last round was they looked at a presentation but really didn't look at it, didn't bite into it, didn't want to grab it, said, hey, push that off to the park board, have them come to us with a recommendation, we'll vote on it, which is really what I thought you did last meeting.
We did.
So, again, I don't want to disrespect, I see where he's going with that. So, is there a mechanism to say inflation is X? Does every other marina do that? No.
Lynn, could you use what we passed last meeting and then just add at the end at the end of, when everybody's caught up at the end of 5 years or whatever it is, then do inflation, have it already written in there, so then you don't have to address it?
Yeah, but what
And
I'm,
lower the minimum?
you know, the council hasn't, unfortunately, hasn't agreed to anything. And it's been brought up, and I'm trying to give them a mechanism to say, hey, we don't need to talk about this every year. We need to establish a system like, I'm going to use Safety Harbor. They've got their marina fee spread out for 5 years, okay? They know what it's going to be 5 years from now. And I'm trying to get it in a situation that we don't have to keep coming back to this. And when the person brought the inflation thing to me, I thought, that's an interesting idea.
Is that person a slip renter?
It was just someone that heard, no, they weren't a slip renter.
Are they a voter?
They are a voter. And they threw that at me and said, well, when was the last, what they asked me was, when was the last time it was raised? And I wasn't really sure. So we dug through the resolution, and the last time it was raised, or a resolution, was December of 2006. Okay. You would think over that 14-year time, you know, the powers, the city manager or somebody would have came to him and said, hey, you know, we need to do this, this, and this. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and that's old news. So going forward, I'm trying to give them something to bite on and say, hey, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? What do you want to do? And let's go forward. And what I will probably, you know, if the Park and Rec Board is okay with submitting both of them to them, they can make the decision. You know, either use inflation rate or do what the recommendation that was presented in your proposal that was presented.
There were some conclusions that, again, I feel bad that I'm kind of going back and forth with Lynn a little. That shouldn't be the case. So what I tried to do is bring information to educate everyone. And I don't think everyone's educated on it. That's what I'm saying. I think people are trying to make a decision on what a person is saying, and it keeps going around in circles, and that's what happens over the years. So, I don't even, Lynn, could you help the board with, what does that mean? So every year the rate goes up based on what inflation is?
Well, CPI index.
Does that include our taxes in the city as well?
No, it's
Okay,
the inflation rate is CPI. It's like, okay,
Right.
this year, our military increases 1.3%. You know, Rick and I know what that is. We get 1.3% more in our retirement. Okay. That's mainly how it's indexed. If I turn it off.
The only thing, if I was renting a slip down there, which I'm not, I know you are, I wouldn't like the unknown. I would want to know that this is what my rate's going to be. And because it's like, not that you would make numbers up, but, you know, I'm suspicious. I would think, who knows what they're going to throw at me next year or what's going to happen.
Well,
so I would like to know, like, I would prefer a set number to say, I know for the next 5 years, this is, I understand it hasn't been raised since '06. I understand that there's, you know, increases, cost is just staying exactly the same. So, like, that's why I kind of like the last one that we voted on, because you knew looking at it exactly what you were going to be paying. And it kind of leveled it out. And I understand you don't want to do it every 5 years, but...
But is it okay to go a whole dollar from 7 to 8? Why not 7 and like 25 cents this year, 25 cents next year? I mean, we have 13 years.
Even our proposal with the flat rates was going up $1 next year, but it was adjusting the minimum. Okay.
And that's for current renters.
That's for current renters, and then it was raising anybody that walked in today would go to $10
Seven
if
to
you're a
10.
property owner, and 15 if you're not a property owner. So where I'm going with this whole thing and looking at it, long term, it looks like, okay, this may be a lesser evil of all of them, you know, by just doing it as an index, basically. But what I'm wanting to do is propose both options to the council, and, you know, if the board doesn't have any issues with that, then that's what I'll do, and let them make the choice.
Why do we, are we losing money if we don't?
No, what happens, Bill's been at the meetings, he knows every year you get tasked with, we want you to go to all the marinas. Well, you can go to 20 different marinas and everything's different, okay? I guess the selling point for us is convenience. If you live here, it's very convenient. You go down the street, if you don't, you know, you're not on a water lot, you can go to the marina, you can ride your bicycle there. So, you know, some of the council members think that that convenience is more valuable than what the current fees are.
I guess I'm trying to put myself in the position of the voter. Voters will say, oh, they're going up on rates again, or they're going up on rates. What's in it for me? Are they going to fix the marina up, or are they going to spend some money in landscaping, park there, or is it just they're hacking up the price because they need more money? So,
Well, it's both plans give some revenue. You know, the flat rate plan, there's a little more revenue in it. Not a lot, but a little bit, because you're reducing the minimum. You know, our minimum currently is 30 feet.
So the real issue is the minimum is what I'm hearing. Someone proposed keep the minimum at 30 feet.
No,
But go do an inflationary increase, which I don't think the group here knows. And I'll just use some examples on convenience. Down at Dunedin, which is convenient for a Dunedin resident, the smaller boats, 25, 29, 27, 22, are all paying less than what we do now, which you're saying is a 13-year-old rate. So they're all paying less now. It's the larger boats in Dunedin, which is convenient for a Dunedin resident, that are paying less than, or that are paying more than what our boats do down there. They charge double for non-residents in Dunedin. So name a marina, I've got the data. And that's where I'm struggling a little bit with this conversation, because it sounds like someone came in and said, keep the minimum the same, raise the rate, which doesn't map
No,
to
what
what is
I'm
current in a
suggesting
competitive
is,
environment.
I think you misunderstood me. What I'm suggesting is take the minimum to 25 and just start using the inflation rate and go on down the street. Forget about it. But if the board doesn't have any problem with either rate, I don't really care. You know, if you want to go to the flat rate that we discussed last month, we can submit that to the city council and move on with it. Now, that means that anybody new coming in will immediately get an increase. Now, I can't say that they don't, the marina doesn't turn over. You know, we have a wait list. The person that doesn't own property here is really going to take the big increase.
How long is the wait list?
Huh?
How long is the wait list?
Well,
About 25 residents.
25 residents right now.
25 residents, and why does it say here the majority of pavers were paid by individual slip renters?
The majority of what?
Of pavers were paid by the individuals.
Well,
Oh, that's over time.
Some-
Excuse me, Lynn, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
some of We used to have a couple that was, I'll call it, they were like the harbor masters, I guess. Would you call them that, Bill?
No, they gave themselves that title.
Okay. And they took care of the marina. So for the most part, the city,
They got a free slip for doing it. The city gave them free rent. They were down there a lot.
yeah, they took care, did improvements.
So it was all dirt down there. It was dirt, we had a 4-foot fence, we had some older lighting. Actually, the docks were getting older as well. So within 15 years, what really started was you would get on your boat with dirty shoes. And the gentleman he's talking about, his wife, who were down there a lot, taking care of landscaping, good people, good community people, they paved their own with like 2x2 stones. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Well, for $250, they do yours. So there was like 7 of us that went, that makes sense. We just paid on our own. And now the city came in within the last 3 years and said, well, let's finish that out. And it looks great. And we got a 6-foot fence, and there's new docks in the last couple of years. There's new lights based on penny for Pinellas. So, you know, as far as the slip renters, you don't see any slip renters coming to City Hall complaining. They're focused on getting on the boat, going out. As a resident, there's no doubt it's convenient versus driving to Dunedin, but the same thing applies to the Dunedin resident going to Dunedin. It's convenient for them and theirs. I hope that helps with the comment on the papers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes, and the current is what? I think we're at 12?
I think it's about 4 non-property owners. 4?
Yeah, I
4 out
can
of-
give you that. I have.
At times it fluctuates because people will come and put their name on the list. And when you call them, well, I don't have a boat, so, okay, you go down the list, no. And then a non-property owner comes in and it's, they're at the top of the list, the other 20 on the list is 1.
Also, if I'm a property owner and someone else is on the list above me who's not a property owner, I don't get to go above them as a property
No,
owner.
the property owners go first until they're
That's
expired.
what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, which is cool. I think the one with me just switched, and it's a non-property owner, which means out of 19, I think that would make, am I correct, Kyle and Lynn, that 5 out of the 19 now would be
There's
non-resident?
18 we rent now with the one open slip. And I think there's 4 non-property owners.
Yeah, so
I
number
believe so.
5 just switched, and that's a non-property owner.
Number 5 is not settled yet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not settled. He's putting the lift in.
But is that 5? No, which one's?
Mr. Carmine?
No. Wait, number 5, that is, well, that's the,
Well, anyways, that fluctuates, and that makes it hard to project revenue but there isn't that much turnover. And part of that is that investment that resident or non makes, and I don't think people see it. They drive by and they see 12 out of 19 boats on a lift. They don't realize that lift owner owns the lift. That's 15, 20 grand in this day and age month, if not more, let alone maintenance. So it's a big investment. It's probably why there's a little less turnover. But
Can we get like a little I guess, just some information on why this is brought up to increase? Is it because other cities, we're trying to be competitive? I'm just trying to get some insight because where I'm trying to make a decision on something, I'm not a boat owner, and I'm trying to understand what is going on here.
As I mentioned, we have a couple council members that think the revenue or the rental rates are low. And I'm not saying they're low. What I'm saying is realistically over time, they should have been raised a little bit since it's been 14 years. I mean, that the boat costs more than it did 14 years ago. So I think at some point we've got to increase it a little bit. I'm not saying increase it $20 or whatever it is. I'm just saying that it needs to be done incrementally. And
So, Nicole, can I address that just real quick, because it's a great point. I feel for the city at times because we change people on boards and council more than we do people at a marina site. And unfortunately, because people don't have, what's the right way to put it? They don't have anything to do with the marina. It really makes it an open target to say, hey, that's one of our revenue streams. Like the parking meters at Morgan Park, like our taxes that we pay. We're very limited on where those streams come from, but the marina comes up because it's an easy target. It's not a big moneymaker, but if people looked at the numbers, they would see that it is a cash cow for the city, even though it's a small one. Yet they would also see that there really isn't this long-term strategic plan that someone's answering for you, that you can go, what is our goal there? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to be more competitive? What would make it better for X stuff? It's never answered. It's always about raise the rate. There's only 14 people in the city impact. And that's where I come in. I got to defend the marina. Good or bad, but you know what? I am in complete agreement with what he's saying about things do need to change. If it's not just for showing council, yes, nice job, this makes sense, rate go up, lower minimum, do whatever you think. Something needs to be presented to be approved. So I'm not in disagreement with that. How do I help with their help to give you the information you need? I've kind of tried before. And that's not in front of you, unfortunately.
Well, we voted on it last time and it passed, so that's why, you know, like he said he wanted to talk about it, but I wasn't really sure what we were talking about, so I did make a copy of your read packet. But Rick, do you want
I'll
to?
say from a interest of time and procedurally, we passed a motion, passed the board. Do we want to make a motion as a board to withdraw that from further consideration and presentation
I'm not
to the board?
asking you that. What I'm asking you is, how do you feel about giving them both options and letting them make the choice? That's what I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
So kind of what I'm hearing from you though is what you're proposing today is going to be less of an increase than what we voted on last time.
Well, it wouldn't be an immediate increase on any new person. It would just increase. The minimum would go down, okay, from the 30 to 25. And then the option to use the indexing, then long term, it's not brought up anymore. So that's their option. The other option is what was given to them at a presentation, and Mr. Bluss did a presentation to them. And what basically happened was they said, give it to you. And you were okay with that. And I'm okay with either situation. I just want to move forward with something so somebody makes a decision. That's all I'm asking.
I wrote down something, tell me if you think this is necessary. I think it is procedurally, from moving on. After further consideration of the proposal and board-approved motion to increase the marina fees, a motion was made to withdraw that recommendation from City Council consideration.
Withdraw.
Because we're not moving forward with this as it stood and was passed by the board, and we're going to make another motion potentially and adjustments to it.
Yeah,
Right?
That's what you would do.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
like I said, all I'm asking you is kind of get some feedback, because I will share with the city council the indexing. You know, because somebody's going to come and say to me, well, what's been the rate of inflation over the last 14 years? Well, if they do, then I'll be able to tell them. And I'm just wanting to move it on, because when I spoke to them about it the second time, it's just kind of floating in the air.
So they never made any type of decision at all?
No.
You never got presented.
Yeah, I'm confused because there isn't information of what that means.
Well, they got what you approved last month, that was presented to them.
It
When was
okay.
that presented to them?
Huh?
When was that presented?
You presented it
Oh,
yourself.
thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
I see. So I presented something that said,
Okay.
today's presenter committed to assist council with marina facts.
Yeah.
The presenter did not bring forth a request to alter marina slip rates or add monthly fee charges. The goal regarding information shared today is simply to simplify needed research for council to make a sound go or no-go next step decision, taking into consideration your city's current marina slip renters, your future slip renters, and the city of Bellar Beach. Coupled with the additional marina information provided, a competitive landscape document provided, the below options and projections are available. So I did not make a recommendation. At the end, it was kind of concluded, wow, let's do a 3-tiered thing to go out 5 years, which isn't my recommendation. My recommendation was learn about it, know what's out there. I mean, we got one person that shows up at City Hall, says something, we got a council member that says something, and no one wants to learn about it. So that's what I brought information forth for. But I'm not in disagreement that something should be done. How you go about it, I think, is the question. Without information, I don't know.
What I brought to you last month was...
That's what we approved, as presented by you. We approved that. Was that ever presented to city council?
Yes. Bill
But he said
They
he
did it in a
present
work
that.
session, not for vote.
No,
And it
not
was-
for a vote.
And
Okay,
it was suggested to go to the park board, which you guys met on last month.
okay, okay,
Thank you.
So
Got it.
you recommended to
okay.
approve that. So all I'm asking is, if that recommendation's still good, then we don't got to do anything.
So you just wanted to add another possibility?
Right. That's all I was asking. Do you want to, is this another possibility? Instead of saying to the next guy that walks in the door, your rate is now $10. That's what that proposal said. Or do you want to say it's $8?
Okay.
Well, that's not what it says. You don't have anything in writing there that you're asking them to approve on. You're saying using the computer price index, right?
Yeah.
CPI?
Yeah.
Well, if someone walks in the door, that might change in 30 days based on January 1st and what comes out.
Well, I'm just basing, the numbers, because I was looking at a way to not make this so, we're going to charge you $10.
But don't we just have one slip that would possibly happen?
Oh, it could happen tomorrow, okay.
It's the new people.
And under the proposal that you approved,
There are new slips.
every person in the marina is going to get $1 increase.
Right.
Okay, but the minimum is going to drop from 30 to 25. So there are some boats in the marina that are going to go down, okay? But then there's boats that are going to go up. And anyone that walks in the door today, if you're a property owner, you're going to pay $10, okay? If you're a non-property owner, you're going to pay $15 per foot, based on a minimum of 25. That's how it's established.
And that's what we voted on in
Yeah.
the last month.
And if you're fine with that, I'm fine with it. Just leave it as it is, I'm good to go.
Well, can I ask Bill, since he did a lot of that research?
You know, I'm really struggling with
favorable?
this, and I'll tell you why, guys. I'm struggling probably more for you guys. That you're in a position right now that you're trying to make a decision on something, and this will always, my first interview out of college, I'll remember the manager saying, how can you ask for something if you don't know why you're asking for it? Well, do you know why you're approving it? That's my question, and I feel for you right now that you're being asked to, without information, other than, hey, inflation hasn't went up, do it this way. How does that impact? And I think it's an important question, I really do. I'm not sure why the rush then, if you guys, it seems like council needs to get something to vote on, and there's someone steering it, and I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
That's talking, you know, we gotta go with the inflation.
Well-
On the other side, I will tell you what was approved, and that's where you go back to all these spreadsheets I did.
Yeah.
I did spreadsheets that showed every possible combination of an increase based on the current configuration of the length of boat, and resident or not. And it's all over the board. There are some people that will get hit harder than others. That's a fact. I struggle with that. I have some good people down there that I know that have a 40-foot boat. Wow, they'll get a big jump based on a change. I struggle with that, I really do. So, and I don't think when these guys have the information.
Well, the group that met on, they got the packet that you,
Yeah,
they got that packet last month.
that was just George, me, and Ted.
Just
We were the
those
only
two.
two here at that time.
Yeah, but they got, this was given to the council.
Right.
Is there any questions that anyone would like to ask? 'Cause I feel like I've talked and just talked. What questions are going through your head right now? I'm just reading.
That was so this is the thing. So the both lifts have like been there, and it says that the last maintenance was like within like 15 years. So like everything that the money that is collected from that, the boats, rentals, like all that money is like in a pool to use to like fix the slips, right? Or is this like just goes into the city?
Well, it comes to the city's revenue. We put a pot of money aside every year, a savings account, in case we have to replace a boardwalk, or like a couple of years ago, we had some issues after the hurricane, 3 years ago. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
We had some issues after the hurricane, we had to do some work there. That's what we do citywide in a savings account. We save stuff like, we're getting ready to do the tennis court, we'll save that money over a couple of years period, so we can do it all at once. So, about, after the savings, I'd say about $35,000 roughly goes back to the city annually. Because we set aside about $7,500 a year, and usually the net is about 40-ish. So, give or take a few dollars. There has been thought about, doing something else with the marina, put a restaurant there, and all kinds of stuff. But there's a parking issue for the beach nourishment. So, council members every year, as I said, come with something. They got the presentation from Bill. They said to take it, give it to the park board, and see what they thought about it. And last month you approved it. So I'm just asking, I'm really what I'm asking is, do you want to use that and go forward and let the council decide whatever they want?
What are we looking to move it to? What numbers are we looking at? What are we looking to increase it to?
They will go up $1 to the current renters. And then 2 years later, they'll go up another $1.
And that's a foot.
A foot.
So like that's what he's talking about. If it's a 25-foot boat, your rates are gonna go down. If you have a 45-foot boat, so it's not just like, it's literally gonna go to $1, it's gonna go to $5.
So what would happen is an example, and I'm gonna use Bill's boat. Right now, he pays $210. In the proposal that was approved, his slip rental next year would drop to $200.
Yeah, there's truth to that.
Which
I'm not comfortable with. I mean, as a slip renter, I'll be honest with you, that's why I've always looked at it as, the problem down there is the minimum. The reality is, you look on this piece of paper you received at $7, I've been paying $15 per foot for 15 years, and people don't know. So that's the math behind being a renter down there, and that's why I'm feeling for this situation. what was suggested to put in front of council, it lowers the smaller boats' rates. As a slip renter, I'm not a selfish person, that I don't need that. So I struggle with that, but competitively, that makes sense. That makes sense. Raise the rate, lower the minimum. No one else has a minimum like that. No one. We do. So, and look at the number of boats at that length and below. There's a lot of adjustments. The disadvantage, man, there are people that are getting a great deal that never had to buy a lift because their boat's bigger. Or they're using electricity and water different than those that don't. And they pay a lot less. That's the real struggle with you guys not having information on this discussion, is not inflation. And I'll tell you, when inflation, I don't have one vendor tied to my home that I just have a blank agreement going, whatever the CPI is, Mr. Lawnmower Guy, Terminex, whatever, you raise it accordingly. I don't, does anyone have vendors that you do business with that way?
No, I just threw that out as a suggestion to get to a point. But it sounds like you're okay with what you approved. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yes, because as I understood the presentation, just the three of us were here the last time, that Mr. Lewis was involved in, and you were involved in. My understanding was that represented a fair increase, market value by all the work that predominantly he did looking around.
Right.
So,
Okay, then we're fine.
yeah.
Let's go forward with that, and,
Okay.
you know, you gotta have the discussion.
The only other thing
Yes,
I can offer, and I don't think you, I'm sorry about the back and forth. I mean, if the other members of the board would like to get up to speed, I mean, what you're proposing might make sense to them. And I would be happy to do a Zoom call or something to help if you don't want, if you want to
I can,
put it off.
we can get them up to date
Yeah.
with the presentation, you know, so you understand it a little better. Maybe that's, so you're more, what's going on.
But it sounds like we're not revoting.
No,
Right.
They're not voting,
Done.
not knowing. It sounds like we're going to keep
And just discuss and to be informed more.
Yes,
Yeah.
and absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's, it's, let me ask you, in a perfect world, based on all the research that you've done, what do you think it should look like?
Yeah, it's a really tough one. I'll tell you, if it was a perfect world, it would be so cool if Bellar Beach started completely from scratch and no one had a rental down there right now.
Yeah.
And therefore,
So
we
it's
can
hard.
look at that property and we can go, let's reconfig the slips. Let's optimize the space. Let's start with space management. And let's look at width, size. So when you look at a competitive search, it's 50-50, by foot or by size of slip. So I really think if we, in a perfect world, I would just scratch it all out, but you can't do that.
Right.
So the next best thing is to get closer to what is fair, which it's unfortunate. Just smaller boats have been paying more. Now, if you go to a strategic plan and you look at what is our long-term vision, which no one ever does, maybe it is a vision of the city of Bellar Beach that we don't want smaller boats in there. Maybe that's it. Now, I will tell you the #1 selling boat on the west coast of Florida is between a 22 and a 26 center console
150
boat.
motor.
So that you're going to see a lot of people that live in the area that want to boat or have a boat have that type of center console.
Sure.
So it's a really tough one.
So you don't really, like,
I struggle with it because I'm fine with the rate I pay, but at some point, if they're going to change things, I got to look back on 15 years. I can tell you, I've spent close to $50,000 down at the marina in 15 years between my poles, the electric, the monthly. So to me, it is an investment, but it's not about $7 here. It's not about 10 there. But if we're making change, let's do it the right way, and that was the purpose with all the research.
Competitively, do you think you're doing well, keeping your boat here than Dunedin?
You know, it's a great question. Yeah, I mean, competitively, Well, that, I would pay double. So their rates are double for a
Yeah.
non-resident.
Yeah.
So the convenience thing
Convenience.
applies to every marina. So if you went to Dunedin and said the same thing to a Dunedin resident, I guarantee you they would say, well, I live in Dunedin, why would I want to go over there? Right?
Proximity.
Yeah.
And the beach is convenient too. Shouldn't we set up maybe a toll to go out there?
No,
No.
Please.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so,
the mayor's already brought that up.
Oh, no, has he really? Gosh, I was joking.
so do we don't, if
With
we
the full
decide to
support of the
keep,
council to investigate it too. Let's not forget that. It's not all in.
so if we decide to keep what we voted on and passed last meeting,
You don't have to.
we can just leave it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
we're done with that, so,
We put the ball back in there.
yeah. We'll give it back to the council, everything. And let them decide.
Okay, and then Lynn, you wanted to talk about this beach.
Yeah,
bus.
I had a vendor and come to me and give us a proposal that they wanted to do, what I call beach rentals at Morgan Park. You know, I just wanted to get some feedback from the board and see what your thoughts are. You know, I don't have any thoughts of doing it or not doing it. I think somebody came, so, you know, I felt like, hey, I need to at least let the park board.
I think it could irritate people right now.
Yeah, it's,
I'm just laughing because I know next door just like banned umbrellas.
well, this has nothing to do with.
And now we're like, check this out.
No, this is, the only place you could do it,
Is Morgan Park.
Morgan Park.
Okay.
And,
Sorry.
I personally, you know, they came to us. If you even considered it, I don't think they would be paying enough money to us. For
15% is not a lot.
it's not enough at my court.
Not to be using the parking, like the area, the space that
Right.
they're gonna be taking up.
So, but, you know, they gave it to us, so I'm giving it to you to say, like, what are your thoughts? You tell me it's a good idea, I'm fine.
Do you need an answer today?
Yeah, all I told them was I would take it to the park board, and if the park board had any interest in it, I would tell them. If the park board doesn't have any interest in it, then it's the end of the subject. Because I'm not gonna take it any further.
It's just something to consider if we have events, right? I mean, we're not.
Well, no, this isn't for
These
events,
are
this is
coming
every
up as,
day,
like,
like
things-
at, if you go to Clearwater Beach,
Uh-huh.
they have those cabanas out there. I think I know the one in Indian Rocks has them.
Right across from Guppy's, they have
Yeah.
a ton
Yeah.
of them out there. Like,
Yeah.
they set them up, like,
Yeah,
early.
yeah.
Who accepts we accept liability if we?
No, they would have to get insurance, but I just, like I told them, yeah, I'll give it to the park board and see what they have to say. If they have any interest in it, I'll.
Discussion, I know you keep saying no, does anybody else have any thoughts?
I like the ideas of the kayaks, paddle boards, things of that sort, possibly here as well. And I think the gloves are going to be rough on a lot of people who live in the area. Like they're being blown up
There's
every
an
morning
offshore
to
wind
take out.
2 miles offshore.
What was that?
If there's an offshore wind, it blows 2 miles offshore.
Some Coast Guard action.
These are blow-ups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to be blown up every morning and taken down at night. I don't-
It says first year company. I don't think there's enough experience under their belt for us.
But it's a story.
Take on their
that
liability.
can be considered. And I think the other stuff would be a little bit more interesting.
Okay. Can we just make a motion and like squish this, or do we need to?
I don't think we have to. we don't
If
even
we're not,
have to
can we
respond.
just say we're not interested?
Yeah,
Okay, we're not interested.
that's,
You
that's,
two aren't, how about you
You wanna
two?
vote?
I'm not interested.
Same.
Okay, George, are you, no, Rick,
What's that?
are you interested in blow up,
Serious,
umbrellas?
serious face.
He's okay, thanks.
I mean, my initial inclination is to say no, but I don't know, maybe, I'd like to look at it a little bit more. I mean, but if you want to take a vote, I'm fine with that too.
I'm interested in
Something.
kayaks and the other things
Yeah,
that they're offering, and I
yeah.
think that'd be a really cool thing to have on the weekends, you know?
Well, no, they're
Every
talking
Saturday,
every day.
They want to be done there every day.
There's no middle, it's all or nothing.
Right.
I
Oh,
don't think
then.
that's going to be profitable.
Huh?
I don't think that's going to be profitable to them.
Well, if they set up a contract, it would be, you know, they'd have to provide it. It's like the umbrella concession at Indian
Yeah.
Rocks or Clearwater Beach. If the sun's out, you know, if it isn't raining or storming, they, you know, in the contract, you would require them to do it every day.
But if they make no money, we make no money. Like, if they don't have anybody renting anything,
That's
they don't
right.
have to give us $1
They
Yeah,
give us 15%
of nothing.
of the.
yeah, you get 15% of that. But like I said,
Yeah.
they sent the proposal, and I said, well, I'll listen to you, and I'll take it to the Park and Rec Board.
No, I think it's a cute, I mean, it's, you know, something is,
I think
it's
it'd be,
such limited,
you know,
I'm sorry.
I think it'd go over like a lead balloon in this city. I mean, people don't want anybody, I can't imagine us doing any rentals on the beach. I think there'd be
We don't
a
have
more
enough
like,
rooms.
They aware of the parking situation?
well, this is like
This
the
would
pay to
be-
park lot.
Yeah,
So this is, I would think would be more, like people parking at the marina, and no, that's too far to walk, but,
Well, for here.
yeah, but they wouldn't walk down to, yeah, Morgan Park. Yeah, I don't think there's enough, like,
There's not enough
there's not
space.
enough people that would go down there.
I think you should tell them parking that board is not enthusiastic.
and that's fine.
I-
That's all I'm asking, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna use you guys as a scapegoat now.
Yeah. Well, it's also a pandemic, and we're gonna be
I
sharing
think that's fair. That
things.
doesn't require a motion. I think that's a fair feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I'll give. Yeah, I don't think you need a motion to say that. I just wanted to, because they came and I said I would present it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that anybody would like to discuss?
I have one thing, and this came up a little bit at the city council meeting, but I need to express to this board that, first of all, I'm appalled at what happened to the sea oats and the sand dunes down at our beach access. On a barrier island, to rip out sea oats for anything. I mean, if there's some garbage down there, we go down there and we cut down all the vegetation to look for the garbage. I mean, I'm just appalled. You could stop a school bus out here of 8-year-olds and ask them, hey, can you go pull me a sea oat? And they'd go, oh no, you can't pull sea oats. I mean, I'm just appalled that we destroyed that area down there. It's unsightly, and it doesn't help us living on a barrier island. Those sea oats provide a very useful function that the good Lord gave us. And I'm embarrassed as a city that we would do something.
What area is that you're talking about?
All the beach access.
Oh, okay.
And you'll see
Was
them
there
when you
some
go
sort of
and study them.
landscaping?
You know the growth with the purple
I know.
flowers, right?
No,
Was
not the
it-
sea oats.
Was it
all the
cut
sea
down?
oats.
Cut down by the city?
Mrs. Mall was here to tell, but I guess she had enough.
No, I read all of it,
Yeah.
what I thought was a CO is not what a CO is, so like,
The
I honestly
risks
am
that
not.
grow-
Well, first of all, just to clarify before we, you
Okay.
know, I understand your concerns, Rick.
Yeah.
We've been trimming those accesses even before I was here. They were trimmed annually. They come back. What holds the dune together is not the stick that's sticking up. It's the root system. The root systems, nothing was done to them. They have come back every year.
So you just like trimmed them like at end of the year, like how you do all of your bushes?
We cut,
Like you
we
cut them off so
cut
they-
them down, and then they come back in the spring, just like they have for years.
But all winter.
Statute says that if you have control of that public or private property, you can trim them. That's what the statute says.
Let's see.
It 6th and 12th Street, we're within that statute. And I'm not going to deny that the staff did get a little overzealous at 19th Street. We are in contact with the FDEP about it. The root system is still there, and that's what holds the beach erosion. And actually, there's some little green things already pop back up in there. So we will have that discussion with FDEP, and if they tell us not to cut them anymore, then we won't cut them anymore.
If you don't cut them at all, how, like?
Oh, they can get 6-7 feet tall.
And they've never been that tall.
And what'll happen is you'd be wasting your time with the benches at the beach if they all filled all the way across, which they could do if we never touched them.
Rick, I'm a
I
sport
don't know what's, and that's your business. All I know is I've lived in Florida my whole life, and I don't ever remember anybody going down trimming COs for any reason.
But they have been trimmed here. They were trimmed here.
Rick, I'm a spoiled brat. I get to walk out there every day, or twice, and they'll come back here. Do I think some of them was cut down maybe a little bit too short? In some areas, absolutely.
They
So I
actually
protect-
build and
I go
grow
out there and
the
do all kinds of protections with each deal.
The stems that come
All
up, the
kinds
high
of-
grasses get about 4 feet tall.
4 to 6.
They dissipate the wind energy that's carrying the sand along in there. And they get trapped in there and they don't build.
And the root gets bigger and bigger. And
No, I'm talking about the stems.
yeah.
Roots are underground.
No, you're missing. When I say root, I'm talking the root ball that's above ground. We didn't dig into the ground. They just cut the tops off.
They create, it's not a matter of stabilizing, it's they create.
They add more sand to it over the
Yeah, they
summer.
trap the sand, falls out there
Right.
around grasses and they don't build up.
Yeah. Just
So if
gets
you
higher
cut
and
them all
higher.
down,
Huh?
if you cut them right down to the sand base.
We didn't cut them. We
But
cut
it
it
sure looks
down.
that way at
Huh?
19th Street, it sure looks like that.
Yeah, they got a little overzealous there. I will say that. But we'll get that resolved with FDEP going forward.
Yeah,
I
so
think it's
moving forward, this
appropriate
won't
that-
be repeated, like.
Hey, it doesn't matter, the staff is just doing what had been done previously. They were cut, when I came here, they were cut, the winter I was here, they were cut by the staff that was here. And they said,
Just no one noticed before, now
Huh?
it's, no one, just no
I
one
missed that because
noticed.
I never saw them.
it's once a year,
Never heard it come.
yeah.
So I don't go to the other accesses very much. So we go down to the 28th Street access for Indian Rocks and one below that, and then I walk up. But I'm at the 6th Street access, and sometimes the 9th Street, every day, twice a day. I sport. And it's been done every year.
Good.
Because I'm an anal about people going on the dunes and doing all sorts of things like that.
But it's still hurricane season, isn't it?
Yes.
They
Shouldn't
could-
we wait to trim those until hurricane season has finished?
Well, the Public Works Department has a schedule,
Yeah.
and, they return and cut.
I'm just thinking,
I don't tell
We
them
should wait
when to,
until-
I just say, hey, you have maintenance you do.
Yeah.
I don't tell them when to do it.
Well, it's appropriate, I think, that the park and rec board control, issues like this, have this discussion. Try not to be overzealous.
Well, no, that's a good point. So like, that can be remedied, that obviously they know not to ever cut them that short again, and then that they need to change the timing maybe
Yeah.
2
January.
months.
Or, if FDEP says don't cut them anymore, then we won't touch them. And over a period of time, unfortunately,
Right.
I'm going to get the complaint from the resident that says I can't sit on the bench and look at the water, which I do.
I'm sure you do.
Everyone does.
Now, I'm not the city manager. I say, well, then go walk down on the beach because the COs are there to protect the barrier island.
But,
I don't have to deal with their garbage. But
Yeah.
I
Well, see,
mean,
me
that's
being
insane.
out-
I've never heard of such a thing.
I've seen so many people, they get that route out there all the time, like in a wheelchair and stuff, and that's as far as they can go. So I can see both sides.
I mean, there's condos that trim them,
Never heard of such a
you know, they trim the sea grapes, they do all kinds of stuff. And we get calls about that all the time, cutting the sea grapes below 6 foot.
Well, they're gonna tell you exactly what you're
Yeah.
allowed
Yeah.
to do moving forward and what's best for the environment, and then
Yeah.
that's just.
And that's
gonna
what
be-
we'll do.
That's what we do.
Right.
So,
There'll be guidelines.
Fair enough.
And they'll be back. Someone thought it was a man grove. It's not a
It's
man
not
grove.
them.
Because they wouldn't survive over there. There's no water.
is there anything else anybody wants to talk about?
That's amazing.
Anyone? George?
George, do your thing.
No. I was a coastal geologist in my earlier days,
Oh, that's right.
35 years. I know all the protected species on the beaches. So it kind of stabs me in the chest when I see something like that.
Oh, I bet.
But
Well, then you know what they're gonna tell them to do moving forward.
well, there's a state code that shows all the protected species. All of them allowed is one of them. And that's what they cut. But they, in 19, they cut everything, not just the seals. And we
Yeah, we'll see what FDP says. You know, because what the statute says is one thing, and some people say the statute isn't correct. You know, I'm not going to get into that. I'll just let
Well,
you-
it lists all the species that are plant species. It lists all the plant species that are protected. You know,
So we need to make sure our maintenance people
Are educated.
Are educated on that.
For
stuff.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
And-
And we'll do whatever FDP tells us to do.
Okay. And I don't blame you for being mad.
No, that's your job.
All right.
Educated.
I'm going to make the motion.
Okay.
It's part of his responsibility.
I make a motion that we bring this wonderful meeting up to the proper direction.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Second, anybody?
All in favor?
Second by Debbie.